What's up, Broke Ass Nation? It's been a while. I apologize for that, but you know, I've just been busy, haven't had the time to do a video. Between trying to do maintenance on the Jetta, which of course takes 10 times longer than it should for no reason. And then, just birthdays and other things going on. And, the fact that for some reason work thinks that I want to live there now. So, can't be helped. But I got a really good video for you today because I finally fixed the fuel pump relay issue on this Corvette. And I will tell you guys how you can fix yours if you're having the same problems, or potentially fix yours. It's nice to finally get in the vehicle and it starts every time. It's crazy. But then after that, I will show you guys how I wrap headers. So I got my own little technique. Figured I'd share it because we're finally gonna put the headers on this thing. So let's get into it. Alright guys, so first I will tell you about the fuel pump relay issue fix that I had. Ignore the car is very dirty right now. So, this right here is the fix. Racetronics plug and play fuel pump wiring harness. They call this like a hot wire harness, I guess. So yeah, there's your part number and everything. Yeah, 2003 and up, C5, C6. So basically, what this is more for running like higher horsepower and stuff. So you can run a booster pump because it has provisions already for a booster pump. But, because it works for that, it actually helps just your stock stuff, so you're not using the stock wiring as heavily. So it runs the power off of the alternator right here, so you're getting a more consistent voltage and everything. So I'll just go over real quick what you have to do for this. I'm not going to tear this apart and show you, but it's very, very simple. So you just got to take your back wheel off behind the driver's door. You take your wheel liner out here and right back up in here. Well, there's like a weird bag of drugs looking kind of thing in here. I think it's just like insulation, sound deadening. You just take that out. And then back in here, there'll be a plug. You've got two plugs on this new harness. You plug them in there. And then up under here, like under where your fill thing is, there is a ground. I just took that ground off, and it has a redundant ground in this wiring harness. I put that stock ground back on the redundant ground, and I also use that to hold the new fuel pump relay. And then you just run that through, and I ran it down through my side skirt. A little bit easier said than done on that part. But then I poked it up down through here. Comes with a fuse on it already. And I just ran it over to my alternator. That's it. So basically what it does is it runs off the stock signal that would normally go back and run the fuel pump. It uses that power to flip the relay, which then uses the power from here. And I mean, I've driven hundreds of miles now, so, and I haven't had an issue. So yeah, every time it starts now, it's fan-fucking-tastic. Like, huge thing to find randomly on the internet. Yeah, I'm really happy Racetronics makes this kit. If you're having any of these kind of problems, do it. It was like not even $100. I want to say it was like, with shipping, like 80 something dollars, and it has 2-day shipping as the standard shipping. So fantastic. Like I said, it wasn't hard to put on at all. Honestly, lifting the car took longer, just because I don't have a lift, so I have to use jacks. Fun. But yeah, if you're having that problem, get that Racetronics kit. It also helps later on if you want to add more horsepower and stuff. So like I said, it does have provisions for a booster pump, and from what everybody online was saying is you can get at least like 600 wheel horse out of one of these if you put a booster pump on the stock pump. So I'd say that's pretty good. But yeah, let's get into our featured presentation here of wrapping the headers. All right guys, so here's what we're working with. We got these nice Speed Engineering long tube headers. Yep, looks pretty good. And then I got some just good old Summit exhaust wrap. I've used other brands, and to be completely honest, the other brands I've used usually end up being a little shittier in my opinion. I had one fray really bad, so I just stick with Summit. It's cheap, it's good. This isn't any of the fancy ones, it's just regular old header wrap. So yeah, first things first, we need to soak this bad boy in some water. All right, so a day like today, you can probably just go drop this thing in a puddle outside. I mean, man, it's just raining like crazy. Good old Ohio Springs. But anyway, we got this thing soaked in water for a little bit. The big idea behind that is because this has got fiberglass in it, just helps cut down on the fiberglass, like wanting to, you know, fly out into the air because it's dry. That way you're not really breathing that shit in. So yeah, but let's go ahead and take our little needle thing out. All right, so the way I like to do this is I like to start down at the bottom, and then what I will do is I will wrap my way up one of the pipes, and once I get to the top, I will wrap it back down a little until I hit a point where I can wrap it over to the other side, like another pipe, and then just go back up and do that on all of them. And then when I'm done, I'll take this and go back down to somewhere around in the starting point, and I will just feed it back in there somewhere, usually tie it off or something. That way I don't have to use any of those pesky wire tie things. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Sometimes it gets a little difficult doing that that trick in areas like this where it's starts to get super bendy. We'll see. Okay, so I'm gonna start off. I zigzagged it in between the pipes here. I will bring it up in there. All right, so this beginning part here, So this beginning part here, I just kind of zigzagged it in through there. I went down in and around that pipe and then back into the center and back around there. This doesn't have to look pretty or anything. That's basically just to give a good holding point for the wrap. So then I'm gonna take and wrap it around nice and tight. And that should give a good hold, even though we didn't use any kind of tie or anything. And you want to try to do some overlapping when you're doing your wraps. To be completely honest, I don't know how much overlapping you're supposed to do. I usually just try to do at least somewhere close to half. Like half the width. Half to a quarter of the width. Just want to keep it nice and tight the whole time. Alright, now I've got up to my first pipe here where it starts to branch off. So now the fun part is trying to go around to that. Be nice if I had a good table or something to put this on, but I'm an idiot. So now, yeah, this is the fun part, is having to feed this all through here. I don't know if there's an easier way to do this. This is just how I do it. I'm stupid most of the time, so. But, who knows? I mean, all my header wraps have turned out pretty good so far. As far as I know, they're all still going strong. Some people might argue against header wrap and say, oh, it's a waste of time, yada da da da, whatever. On this Corvette, with those engine temperatures, well, under the hood temperatures, man, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure those temperatures under the hood are good. So it does help. I mean, you can definitely tell there's a difference under the hood. I mean, shit, the fact that you can actually touch your header then, albeit not very long, but you can touch it for at least a few seconds more than you normally could. So it's got to be doing something. Yeah, I'm just gonna keep feeding this through here and working my way up this tube. All right, now that I'm up here at the top, I'm trying to make everything nice and as tight as possible. You know, I got one more wrap in there. As you can see, this is a very time-consuming process to do this, but like I said before, I think it's extremely worthwhile, especially on a car like the Corvette, where you kind of fight under the hood temperatures. And we'll give it one extra wrap up here. Okay, then we're going to start going back down. Now, don't get me wrong, wetting it does help with fiberglass in the air, but you are still going to get this shit everywhere. So, make sure you wear something you don't care about. Well, don't care about getting all this fiberglass on. So then, like I said, on the way down, I am just not gonna worry about overlapping a whole bunch or anything like that. I mean, we already did that, so this is just to get back down the pipe to a new starting point. You know, it doesn't matter how you do this. I mean, get creative with it. Do it however the hell you want. I feel like every wrap is unique, even if it's on the same style header. All right. There it is. It's definitely not my best work. I had a lot of issues down in here, and I pretty much ran out and I had to use one of those stupid wire ties right here. Yeah, so yeah, not my best work at all, but you get the idea. I went up, I went back down here. That's where it got a little funky. I should have done shit a little differently, but whatever. And I wrapped it back up this one, back down over here, up, down. Yeah, I should have done shit a little different right in here, but whatever. That's fine. As long as it's wrapped, it doesn't have to be pretty. I mean, especially on the Corvette, you're only gonna see like this much of it anyway, so who cares? So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and do that one now. Alright, so this one turned out a hell of a lot better. Look at that bad boy. Look at that, no crazy conglomeration there like the other one. Yeah, and when I ended it, you can't see it, but it's right in here. I looped it around, I tucked it in here, looped it back around, and then tucked it back in here again. Perfect. Nice and tight everywhere. Shouldn't come loose, because it's all just self-containing. So, yeah. So, there's my way of wrapping headers. Like I said, first one was pretty dog shit, but it's whatever. I usually don't have to use wire ties like that, but I kind of ran out of room. But yeah, so pretty soon here we'll be putting these on and hopefully seeing what it sounds like. So until next time, keep off those jack stands and stay broke, folks.